Good afternoon. It is November 26, 2018. Here with Dick Eckert. He is the Veteran Service Officer for Whitley County. He also, let me check my notes here, was in the Air Force as an E5 Staff Sergeant from 1966 to 1970. My name is Deb Lowrance. We're here at the Peabody Public Library. Thank you for being with us today. So tell me a little bit about your service time, where you were and what you did.
Well, as most people went to San Antonio, Texas for basic training.
Mm-hmm.
Due to the wartime effort, we were only there a month for basic training. After that, I went to Keesler Air Force Base in Mississippi to Air Traffic Control School.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there for about 4 months, I guess. And then from there, I was assigned to Dyess Air Force Base in Texas, at Abilene, Texas, where I was trained as an air traffic controller. And then I was later transferred up to Enid, Oklahoma Advanced Air Force Base as an air traffic controller.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a jet training base. Then I was transferred over to Ubon Ratchathani and Ubon, Thailand.
Wow.
I was over there for a year, and on return I was assigned to McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey.
Did you have a background in air traffic or airplanes or anything before you went into the service?
No, it was purely a fluke. I was not doing well in college, and I didn't want to get drafted and pound the ground in Vietnam, so I saw the Air Force recruiter and took some tests, and he said below this line is what you can get into. And one of them was air traffic control, and I said, what is that? And he goes, I don't know, it has something to do with airplanes.
Oh, goody.
So I thought, well, if you're going in the Air Force, you might well have something to do with airplanes. So it turned out to be one of the best fields ever.
Cool.
So
Cool.
It was by purely accident.
So what did you do in your time in the service? Was it mostly in the States or?
No, well, other than the year in Thailand, I was at stateside and spent all my time talking to jet airplanes and propeller airplanes too.
Yeah.
Controlling them, trying to keep them separated. So
Yeah.
but that's pretty much what I did in the U.S.
Okay. I see there are several medals here. So what were those for?
Well, since we were area of engagement, we were awarded the Vietnam Campaign Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, the Republic of Vietnam Gallantry Cross, had outstanding unit, had longevity, Air Force longevity, had, let's see, what else was there? Marksmanship, and there was one other one. But there was like 8 medals.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
For 5 years in the Air Force, yeah.
Yeah.
Or 4 years in the Air Force,
Yeah, yeah. So what was it like in Thailand?
Depending what time of year, during the summer it just rained all the time.
Oh.
I mean, the sun would come out, pretty soon the sun would be behind a big cloud and drench you, and then the sun come out, and so it was constantly, it was a very damp, humid, hot, you know. In the non-rainy season it was kind of chilly, but it was dry.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Now, all that rain and all of that, is that difficult to manage aircraft?
Oh yeah, you have to vector around the thunderstorms and stuff and try to keep them out of it, but yeah, it adds to the complexity.
Now, when you were controlling these aircraft, were some of them going to Vietnam?
Oh, most of them were. Oh, well, I take that back. We had F-4s and C-130 gunships and C-130 lamplighters, and those typically were either going to Cambodia or Laos. Some we went to Vietnam. Of course, then we had the overflight traffic of airliners that we controlled that went on over across Vietnam. So we, once we have an airspace, or a controller is assigned an airspace, that you control everything in it.
Oh, so it wasn't just military.
Oh, no. No
Okay.
matter where you're at.
Okay. Oh, and that was in the U.S. as well?
Yep. Mhm.
Wow, didn't realize that.
Yep.
Didn't realize that. So once you got to Oklahoma and places like that, were there other things that you did besides just air traffic control, or did you?
Air Force related, yeah, it was just air traffic control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Also know that you are the Veteran Service Officer for Whitley County now.
Took over for Gene.
Yeah. And what does that job entail?
Entails a lot. You have to know a lot of the VA regulations and whether a person's entitled to VA benefits or not. When I got out in 1970, we were told that we'd have VA benefits for the rest of our life. In 2003, Congress changed that.
Oh.
And I wasn't aware of it. But a friend of mine said he was getting his VA meds or getting his medications through the VA because they were less expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried doing that, and they told me I made too much money. I thought, that doesn't make sense. So come to find out, if you have a disability, then you get VA health care. And so I applied, and I got tinnitus, and I got loss of hearing. And
Around all those jets.
yeah, exactly. And so I'm in the VA healthcare system. So some of that is understanding what the VA is all about. So that's why I wanted to be a VA or VSO.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Gene when he was going to retire, and he wasn't real certain. But because I was an engineer, I knew a lot about computers, so he hired me on part-time, and so I worked with him part-time and tried to teach him about computers. But it was getting more and more complex, and Gene was just, I had enough.
Yeah, he's not a real fan of computers.
No, he's not. So.
Do you belong to any veterans organizations?
I do. The American Legion, I joined them. However, I work with the DAV, VFW, Military Order of the Purple Heart, in those. And I'm not necessarily a member with them, but I'm accredited with them.
Mm-hmm.
So if a veteran comes to me and has questions, I can go into the VA database and look up his records and see what he's talking about and understand what he's doing.
Very good.
So.
Let's see here. So, what did your family think when you joined the service?
Not much. My mother was beside herself. And when I left, it was really, really tough for her.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't know when I was coming home, so I surprised her.
Oh, well, that's good.
So it was kind of fun. But
And did you have a girlfriend when you left?
no, I did not.
No?
No.
Didn't gain one in your service time as well?
I was like Jesus, I loved them all.
Oh, all righty then. All right. So, in your spare time, if there was such a thing,
Played softball and stuff in the Air Force.
mm-hmm.
You know, we had teams of various organizations, and we'd play softball and things like that, sports.
Yeah. Have you did you make lasting friends? Are you still in contact with some of the people that you served with?
It was really strange. I was an air traffic controller out at Bear Field, and one of the guys that I was in air traffic control school with, he was assigned to Fort Wayne as well, so it was kind of strange at that time.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
but other than that, not so much now.
No? No.
Getting older and more distant.
Okay, back in our day, there wasn't internet, so you could email.
No, there was not.
Was it difficult to communicate home?
About the most reliable medium was through letters.
Yeah.
You know, you could make a phone call back, but I mean, obviously, if you're stateside, it's easy. But getting them from Thailand to stateside, you'd have to set up a communication link with ham radio operators, and they'd have to link all this stuff.
Wow.
So it was really difficult, and I just said it ain't worth the effort. So
Just stick a stamp on it and be done.
Yeah.
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 All right. What else would you like to tell us about your
About
time?
me?
Sure.
Well, air traffic control proved to be a very integrated part of my life. Like I said, it was a fluke that I went into air traffic control. Partway through the Air Force, I decided I wanted to get a college education. So when I got out, I went to Purdue University and got a bachelor's degree in supervision. And then I applied for a position with the FAA as an air traffic controller. And I started my air traffic control at Fort Wayne International Airport. And I was there, 5 years maybe, between 4 and 5 years, and was transferred to Indianapolis. And then Reagan came along and fired me.
Oh.
So I had to, and I still had not married at that time. I was fortunate in that respect, but I went back to school and got another degree in engineering and became an electrical engineer. Magnavox was doing air traffic control equipment, making it.
Oh, yeah.
And so they found out I was an air traffic controller, and they pulled me into that division. And so I worked with Magnavox as an electrical engineer, then I cross-trained as a software engineer, then I became a program manager, and this was all in air traffic control programs. And it was interesting because we were banned from air traffic control facilities because we were a union, and Magnavox needed me to go on site, so that caused an issue.
Oh, wow.
So the attorneys got together and they said, just don't bring it up, but he could go. And that's what happened. Well, later on then I became, ITT wanted me to come over to be business development manager on air traffic control programs. So I spent a great deal of time in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Still have a really good friend there. We get together and play golf. So it turned out to be quite a good career, I guess. It was kind of a fluke in many paths, but...
So some of the newer things that happened with air traffic control may have been your doing.
Yeah. We built displays and communication systems and stuff, so yeah, some of the stuff that's in the field has got my fingerprints on it.
Very neat.
So.
Very neat. Well, we do, we want to thank you for your service. And
It's a lot different now than it was then.
Tell a little bit about that, because you work with the veterans. You know the differences.
Returning home from Southeast Asia at that time was not pleasant. Of course, you had all the love children during that time, and they hated military, and they hated anybody in the military. And most of the time coming back, the first thing that a person would do would be to change out of his uniform into civilian clothes.
Wow.
I mean, people called us baby killers and all kinds of stuff. Some people were spat on, so it was not pretty.
And it didn't matter that you had never set foot on Vietnamese soil.
It didn't matter.
You just had that uniform.
Had a uniform. So it seems weird for people to say thank you for your service, but when that's not what I got when I came back.
Right.
So.
Right. But a little more appreciated today.
Yeah, and I'm really happy for the veterans. Nobody understands what they go through.
Right.
You know, unless you've been there and done that. So.
All right. Well, we thank you for your time and appreciate you coming down and talking to us.
Certainly.